And good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the final word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Our first show of the broadcast week. Brand new week is upon us. And what's going on? Anything? Is there anything we should talk about tonight? No, it's great to be back. And yes, there's a bunch to talk about. The Eagles, your Philadelphia Eagles, advancing on to the divisional round as a result of a 22-10. Do I say victory? Yes, it was a victory. It was a victory over those Green Bay Packers. And they're moving on to the divisional round. They will wait their opponent tonight, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Commanders. If Tampa Bay wins that game, the Eagles will play the Buccaneers in Philly. If the Commanders win, the Eagles will await the winner of the Rams-Viking game tomorrow night. So a little bit of scoreboard watching is now in order, as the Eagles did handle their business today, 22-10. But I guess the first question out of the hopper for me to you, how you feeling about the game? Right? All week long, it's been Jalen Hurts concussion protocol. Is he going to be the right type of quarterback? Is he going to come back? Is he going to be rusty? Is he going to be elite? Which I felt somewhat ridiculous hearing because he hasn't been elite all season. And he comes in tonight, and it's the same offense. It's the same thing. The Eagle offense came out red hot thanks to a special teams turnover on the first play of the game. I'll get to how putrid the Green Bay Packers and the fact that I owe apologies to people here in a second. But they came out hot. Jalen Hurts came out hot. Matter of fact, he throws a touchdown pass across the middle. Whoa. And I thought, whoa, here we go, man. We have turned over a new leaf. Jalen Hurts is reborn. And then the offense kind of went into their cocoon again. And they never really came out. And you could see them with the formula of feeding the ball to Barkley in the second half. They tried to go pass heavy in the first half. Didn't work. Bad play calling. Questionable play calling. Found their way to a 10-3 halftime win or lead, and then held on to a 22-10. We're going to break it down a little bit further because obviously there's a lot more to talk about. But to gauge the room right off the bat, is this a Super Bowl contender right here? Is this team, can this offense that we see tonight and that we've seen for the last 3 months, can this offense go up against the quick strike ability Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills and Pat Mahomes? Everyone keeps on forgetting about the damn Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. Can this offense do that? Obviously, the defense probably could try to hang in there, but can the offense do it? We're going to get into that. We'll hopefully get into some Flyers talk. Sorry about that. We'll get into some Flyers talk if we can. Flyers off tonight. They did win last night. I covered the post game, so I don't really see a need for me to talk about more of the Flyers. If there's time, we'll also get into our of the night segment and the new segment that we've debuted here on the show as I am revealing my all-time Phillies lineup, my all-time Phillies roster. We revealed our first base selection last week, and we'll go ahead and tonight and continue that on. Again, if there's time, card review as well, if there's time. And, of course, your day in Philadelphia sports history, which we do on every show, regardless of what the situation or what the topic might be. And tonight, let's start it off. And this day back in 94, I had the distinct pleasure of last week to talk about the day in Philadelphia sports history where Mike Schmidt got the word he was going in the Hall of Fame on his first ballot. Well, tonight, back in 94, is the day or the night that Steve Carlton found out that he was going in on his first ballot. He got 95% of the vote and was on his way to the Hall of Fame. Obviously, 329 wins, 4,136 strikeouts, second only to Nolan Ryan at that time. The most Cy Young awards for than any other player in history is currently tied with Greg Maddux and bested only by Randy Johnson's 5 and Roger Clemens' 7. So again, at that time, the most dominant left-handed pitcher of my young childhood and of that era, I definitely think. There was a long time back and forth between Ryan and Carlton. Obviously, I think Ryan had the better overall career as he had more staying power than Carlton did. Carlton sort of fell off a cliff in 86. His career didn't kind of slow down. It died, right? And hung around a little too long. But Definitely Hall of Fame worthy, definitely Hall of Fame first ballot worthy. And on this day back in 94, Steve Carlton got the word that he was heading into the Hall of Fame. So happy Steve Carlton's going to the Hall of Fame day here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. As that happened on this day back in 1994. And of course, that was brought to you by all the fine folks and all the fine work we do over here over at It's a Wrap Sports. So please make sure you give us a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, a bell ring, all those great things. Because we definitely need it and we would appreciate it greatly. So there we go. Let's get now, I guess it's time. Let's unpeel the onion all the way, right? Y'all came here to talk about the Eagles, so I will not disappoint. 22-10 victory tonight over the Green Bay Packers. And again, my question from the top still stands as how we feeling about this game? I mean, Barbara, how you doing? Matty, the Packers gave away the game on a silver platter. Barbara, when you give 4 turnovers in a single football game, yes, they did. There was really no other way to explain it. Yeah, there's no way to explain what happened here tonight other than the fact that the Eagles went up against a bad team. And I guess it's time for me to get into my apology right now. I went on about a 20-minute rant, I guess it was last week, about the disrespect of the Green Bay Packers. And again, not that I had some great visions of grandeur of what the Packers are, or do I even care what they are? But I just felt going into the playoffs, you never overestimate or underestimate anybody. And typically that comes back and bites you on the butt. And I thought a good part of the Eagle fan base, the radical left homers to be specific, were overestimating or underestimating the Packers. But I was wrong. The Packers are terrible, a terrible team. They got a decent defense to work with, but offensively, there's some problems there. And of course, going in banged up with Watson being down, and then throughout the course of the game, losing Jenkins, Dobbs, Reed, Myers. I mean, that's not going to help you. But Jordan Love is a terrible quarterback. He's terrible. And everyone says, well, you can't compare the games back in week 1 and in this game today. And you're absolutely right, because the Packer team from week 1 was better than this team. Packers are terrible. And again, the question I have, I know it's a win and we're moving on, but come on, man. Offensively, the Eagles couldn't get out of their own way. They are a strictly a one-layered offense. It's Saquon Barkley or bust with this offense. And that's concerning when you're going up against some high-octane offenses that you're going to eventually see deeper you get into this thing. So Packers are a terrible football team. And again, I owe an apology because I was wrong. Damn right you should have underestimated them. They were terrible. They are terrible. On the first play of the game, you give away a turnover. I mean, come on. And then the Eagles, as I said, right off the bat, Jalen Hurts, nice little slant play back in the end zone to Deshaun Dotson. They're up 7-0. It was a touchdown pass across the middle of the field. I'm thinking, oh my God, is Jalen Hurts born again? Then the next drive, they moved the ball somewhat well. And then Jake Elliott comes in with the field goal. And then after that, they didn't move the football until about midway through the third quarter back in hockey. So offensively, can the Eagles' offense go still? Can they afford to go into these lapses that take about a quarter of the game away? And with all the turnovers they forced, 3 of them in the first half, Eagles were recipients of 3 Packer turnovers. They walk out of that first half with 10 points. Again, am I shocked about it? No, because in the regular season, they were averaging 12 points in the first half. But how much longer can they live on the edge like that? How much longer are they going to be able to sustain or utilize the running attack to wear teams down, to wear clock down against offenses that, eventually they're going to come up against an offense that can put the ball in the end zone on 4 plays? And can they go touchdown to touchdown with something like that? Nakobe Dean went down tonight. Slay went down tonight. So the injuries on the Eagles side are mounting up a little bit. So, but you're right, Barbara. Yeah, I mean, did the Eagles win this game tonight or did the Packers lose it? Because I think that's a conversation that needs to be had. When you fumble the opening kickoff, that's pretty bad, 100%. What's my thoughts on the Eagles defense today? I thought at times, now this is kind of going back, Joe. Jalen Carter, listen, did everything he could to clog up that middle. Josh Jacobs had his way with the Eagles. And Green Bay's decision to stay with the run game, I thought ultimately hurt them. But now that I think back on it, what else did LaFleur have? LaFleur knew his passing game was garbage, and he knew he couldn't move the ball through the air via the fact that he was losing wide receivers left and right, and then also I don't think he had confidence in Jordan Love there, kind of down the stretch of this game, which I think benefited the Eagles defense. But up front, I thought the Eagles did okay, but Josh Jacobs did force the issue and did move the football at will at times. He was the only offense Green Bay had. But that's okay. Pass wise, yeah, I mean, they did okay. Quinion got beat a couple times, right? Did get his first interception, which was great, but also got that pass interference, which a lot of people were saying it was not. It was certainly was a pass interference. He was holding them, right? So I thought they played okay, but if you insert a different offense, how do they do? The Packers had opportunities in this game, and they just could not capitalize. But the fact that you're down, that you give the ball up 3 times in the first half, and you walk into halftime only trailing by a touchdown, 10-3. What does that tell you about the Eagle offense? I think that's the bigger story here. And it's going to come down to that Eagle offense. At the end of the day, at the end of all this, at the end of this road, it's going to be the Eagle offense that either wins the day or loses it for them. And I don't think there's much of a debate about that. Because right now into week 19, we're still having the same conversation, the same topics about the same players. And don't call me a villain about it. It's the truth. Jalen Hurts today, pedestrian at best. Pedestrian, 13 for 21, 131 yards, averaging 6 yards a pass, 2 touchdowns, was sacked twice for 10 yards and finished with a quarterback rating of 111.4. Jordan Love, 20 of 33 for 212 yards, 6.4 a pass, 3 interceptions, was sacked twice for 17 yards, and 41.5 quarterback rating. God, man, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Josh Jacobs carried the day for the Packer offense, 18 carries for 81 yards. He also had 3 receptions for 40 yards. Without Josh Jacobs in this game, I don't think the Packers score a touchdown, and they obviously don't. The Packers lose this game 22-3. I mean, it was just so bad, just really bad. So Eagles win tonight 22-10 and are now awaiting some other games to kind of rocked out or sort of kind of unfold. The Eagles are built on defense, and the running game Hurts is basically along for the ride. Yeah, you're right, Barbara. But is that, and I know Tom Brady was talking about the formula of success for the Eagles, and it's not a secret formula anymore. We all know it. It's to have the defense, keep the team hanging around, and just let Barkley just sort of wind them down. Now, Barkley hurt his arm there towards the end, right? I'm just saying that's a scary recipe for me, because just like I blame the Packers for being one-layered offensively, the Eagles are not far behind that. What does happen when Saquon goes down? If he goes down, if he gets neutralized, what happens there? Where do the Eagles turn to? A.J. Brown had 1 reception tonight. 1. And he's over there on the sidelines reading a book. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. And of course, that's going to be a story, and it should be a story, because A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts don't get along, and we already know that to be true now. So are we going to have to worry about A.J. Brown having another little hissy fit because he's not getting his? And can Jalen Hurts get him his? Joe says Hurts looked horrible today. 100%. And I'm not, absolutely 100% am not going to the concussion thing. Okay. If he wasn't cleared to play, then he shouldn't have played. And I'm not going to the rust. And that's going to be a topic. There's going to be a portion of the homers out there that are going to go to that and say, oh, hasn't played in 3.5 weeks. Listen, he didn't look any different today than he's looked all season. That's the issue. He didn't look worse than he looked all season, and he didn't look better than he looked all season. So I'm not going to go there. I wasn't to me, there was nothing in his game today that makes me think, oh, it's concussion related, or it's not playing for 3.5 weeks related. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, he looked horrible. Yes, absolutely. Terrible. Except for that one play in the beginning of the game. Deshaun Dotson, man, that was a beautiful pass. Beautiful play. Back in the end zone, across the middle. Everyone was clamoring. I was hearing a lot of this during halftime. Well, where's the quick hitters? Where's the slants? Well, where have they been all year? I mean, why are we talking about where are they at now? Where have they been all year? The Eagles have not thrown slants all season. I make a very big deal out of the fact that the Eagles don't throw to the middle of the field. Tonight was no exception. 21 pass attempts and only 4 to the middle of the field, and 1 being on the first pass play of the game. So I don't know where these quick hitters and slant, when they're going to start doing that, but they haven't done it all year. So, yeah, Jalen Hurts didn't look good. Jalen Hurts certainly did not win the game today for the Eagles. Now, he did not turn the football over, but I'm starting to think and understand and believe that the reason why he's not turning the ball over anymore is because they don't put him in a position to turn the ball over. They're not asking him to throw the ball into tight windows. They're not asking him to run Kellen Moore's playbook. Again, since about coming out of the bye in week 5 or week 6, whenever the bye ended, has been the recipe here. Everyone's all patting on the back. He's not turning the ball over. Yeah, you're right. But he's also not putting himself in a position to commit turnovers because they're not giving him anything like highly difficult to do. And he's getting paid $1.6 million a game to do that stuff. So not an elite performance. And are you going to need your elite level quarterback, or are you going to need that elite level performance to win a Super Bowl? You're not. Listen, the luck is going to run out. The luck is going to run out. They are going to face a team eventually that is truly an elite team. And contrary to popular belief, they have not played that team all season. The best team that the Eagles played all year long was the Baltimore Ravens, and they beat them. Give them that. But eventually, that bill's coming due, and they're going to have to face probably back-to-back weeks elite level competition. And offensively, can this team hang with them? Can this team hang with the Detroit Lions right now? No. 10 points in the first half, 12 points in the second half. It's not an anomaly. It's what they've been doing all season. Nothing has changed. And they won today with the same recipe. And then you factor in a fraud Green Bay Packer team that I defended, not because of Packer love, but because I have a problem with overlooking any opponent. But I shouldn't have, because they didn't deserve it. The Packers are a terrible football team. And in a lot of ways, the Eagles barely beat them. Love the Goddard touchdown. Yeah, that was fun. Double stiff arm, throws that kid off of him. Yeah, that was a bull type touchdown. Dallas Goddard is a difference maker. The problem is he can't stay on the field. And Tyler Warren will probably coming out this spring from the Penn State Lions. Would look real nice in this offense. I don't know if he'll be available when the Eagles select in the first round, but if he is, Howie would be a fool not to take him. Because even if we just have him behind Goddard for 1 year or whatever, I think Goddard's a free agent at the end of next year. It'd be all right. All right with me. But yeah, the Eagles won. Let's get into the stat pack because it deserves some talking over. On the game, the Eagles were 1 for 4 in the red zone. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And those problems are continued over from the regular season. They were below they were right around 55% accurate in the red zone heading into this game. 1 for 4 today in the red zone. That's got to change. That's got to be better, especially with the problems with your kicker who missed an extra point tonight. You know, again, at what point is the luck going to run out? First half points, the Eagles only scored 10. And second half, they only scored 12. They committed 7 penalties for 64 yards. That's terrible, too. Yes, I know Green Bay committed 8 for like 85 or something like that. And mainly because of that last penalty, that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, that just out of frustration because Green Bay was just like, But that's terrible, too. The Eagles have forced 4 turnovers. I mean, I cannot stress how impressed I am with the defense and their ability to force turnovers over the last 4 games. 14 turnovers the Eagle defense has forced and special teams have forced over the last 4 games. 14 of them. So that's averaging out to about 3.5 turnovers a game. I mean, for a team that really struggled 3/4 of the season with generating turnovers, They have become a turnover machine over the last 4 games. They did not commit any turnovers again tonight, but once again, is that because they're just not putting Jalen Hurts in a position to do that? And is that taking anything away from the offense? They did allow Jalen Hurts to get sacked twice for 10 yards, and 2 plays that I do not blame the offensive line at all for. Jalen Hurts was holding on to the football way too long. Both those plays deserved what he got. They got the Jordan Love twice for 17 yards, and Nick Sirianni was 1 for 1 on 4th downs on the night. And again, I think the other underlining story here tonight with the Packers is a war of attrition was definitely lost as they were losing players left and right. Jenkins, Dobbs, Reed, Myers all went down in this game for Green Bay. A real thin offense, although a real thin team got thinner as the game wore on. But on the Eagles side, we did lose Nakobe Dean to a knee injury, and we did lose Slay. So we're relying on the defense so heavily, so much do we rely on this defense. We definitely cannot afford to lose anybody to injury off that unit. But now, as I said, it's going to be a waiting game. Eagles will now wait to face the winners of the Tampa, Washington, or St. Louis, LA, Minnesota game. And I think that honestly, if you look at this, the best opponent the Eagles could hope for in all of this are probably the Minnesota Vikings. Honestly, definitely honestly. So we'll wait and see how that all works out. I love the wrinkle of tush push pass on 3rd down. Listen, and Joe, I swear to God, I know you weren't here, and I know people are going to call me a liar, but when they lined up for that, I'm like, this is a fake. I just had a feeling it was a fake, and it was. Perfect pass. I mean, it was what it was. You got to applaud the creativity. They tried to go up top. But yeah, I remember calling. I was like, it's a fake. It's a fake. And it was. And Joe said Slay returned. Yeah, I thought he did. I thought I'd seen him return. But he got dinged up. He got clipped up. And he's been clipped up. Nakobe Dean did not return. That's a bigger question. That's a bigger story. And Zach Bond, another big story in this game. Again, congratulations to all 6 of the Eagles that made the all-pro status this year. But Zach Bond's out there with the interception, doing what he does on defense, and he's still doing special teams. I can't believe he's still on special teams. And yeah, I mean, just a really good game from the defense again, and a really good game from special teams. I have no quarrels with the defense or the special teams, which is so messed up. Because heading into the season, it was all about the defense. It was all about the questions on defense and whether or not they could hang and whether or not they could keep the other team off the scoreboard. So where the Eagles offense didn't have to score 65 points a game. But everybody was okay with that because they were like, the Eagles offense is potent. They can do what they can do. The Eagle offense has been the problem all season. And the defense has come out of nowhere and had themselves a hell of a year. Nakobe Dean being part of the reason, Zach Bond being another big, Jalen Carter being another big part of the reason, the improved secondary being another reason for the improved play of the defense. The defense is keeping the Eagles in this thing. But how much longer can they? At one point, you're going to need support from your offense. Jalen Hurts and the rest of that group has to start figuring it out. They got to be able to start putting up more points, moving the football faster, more efficiently, and stop getting bogged down in the red zone. 1 for 4 tonight in the red zone. And a pretty average red zone group throughout the season. And now every play, I said this on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, every play, every yard, every ball is questioned. Everything is magnified. And, Kyle agreed with me there. Heading into this game, another big thing that I made a big stink about was the Eagles' record, right? 14-3. And now, by the way, Sirianni and Hurts have now moved to 3-3 in the postseason. So congratulations for getting back to 500 in the postseason. But heading into the game, the Eagles' record, the Eagles' opponent's cumulative record in 2024 is 109-129. So that's 20 games under 500. That the Eagles' competition level was this year. That's pretty bad, right? And heading into this game, the Packers' opponent record was 120-118. Now the Packers were 11-6, Eagles were 14-3, and there was some comparisons and similarities between the Eagles and the Packers. Now the Eagles did beat more double-digit teams that had a better record against double-digit win teams than the Packers did throughout the season. And obviously today, what I saw from the Packers was a complete fugazi of a season that they had at 11-6. Talk about a phony fraud team. How did they get 11-6 with that offense? And I know, again, they were down a few players, but I'm not excusing Jordan Love and his inability to move the football. I mean, him holding on to the football, him missing open looks, him putting balls in the wrong spots. I mean, Jordan Love took a step back in his maturation process tonight. And questions, I guess, heading into the offseason, which I could care less about that, in Green Bay should be centered around whether or not Jordan Love is the guy going forward. It won't be. It'll be centered around they need to get him more weapons and they need to stay healthy and all that. But boy, Jordan Love did not impress me tonight. Did not. As I said, he impressed me more back on week 1 than he did tonight. And that's amazing. Jalen Hurts, same thing. You can tell that Hurts has been entitled his whole life. He doesn't take a hard coaching or criticism. Well, he's in the perfect town for that. He's in the perfect town for that, Barbara, right? Especially if he endears himself to the radical left, the homers, because they're not all about giving criticism to Jalen Hurts. And I'm going to hear it this week. My name will come up in effigy somewhere, or a couple shows, right? But I'm going to stand by what I'm going to stand by. Listen, the Eagles, they deserve to win this game, and I won't say they didn't. The reason why they deserve to win it because the Packers are terrible, a terrible football team. And again, I owe homers an apology because you're damn right you should have disrespected them because they weren't worthy. They weren't worthy a playoff spot in the NFC. It was terrible. That was a terrible, terrible football team that the Eagles beat tonight. And honestly, the Eagles barely beat them. Let's look at it that way too. The Eagles didn't blow the doors off of them. So going forward, how do you feel? And going to the ultimate goal, how do you feel? Divisional round, the opponents that they could face, I can see them winning all those games. I can see them winning, beating Minnesota, beating LA, beating Washington, or beating Tampa. I can see them beat them all 4 of those games, but I could also see them losing about half of them. I can see Tampa coming in here and beating them. I can definitely see Minnesota, if Sam Darnold doesn't get pressured, them beating the Eagles as well. I don't see the Rams and I don't see the Commanders doing it. But then moving into the final round, the championship game, do the Eagles stand a chance on the road against Detroit? Because I don't think any of the 4 teams that I'm speaking of right now have a snowball's chance in hell against the Detroit Lions and that offense. Do the Eagles at Ford Field have a chance to win this? And by the way, another little piece of history, which I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. The Eagles are winless on the road in NFC Championship game play throughout their history. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So, anyway, Eagles 22-10 winners. Moving on. And they deserve nothing of it. They don't deserve it, man. I would rather have seen the friggin' I would rather have seen the Falcons than the Packers. They sort of given us a snowball's chance here. You know what I mean? God, man, I'm disappointed for the lack of talent in the NFC. That was our opponent in the first round. I'm disappointed that the Packers advanced that far. And that was what I saw. A terrible football game. It's kind of suited the Vikings have to play on the road. It is. What they were aren't they a 13-win team? And they got to go up to Arizona. But and by the way, if anybody's affected by the fires in LA, please, my deepest sympathies and thoughts and prayers to anybody out in the Los Angeles area or the greater LA area. I don't have any connections in Los Angeles, but if any of you do, please pass on my deepest condolences and my thoughts and prayers throughout this very tough time. So I think they got it under control, or they're getting it under control. So that's good. But definitely not a cool thing. Not a cool thing at all. But the Eagles will live to fight another day, and they will wait to see who they get, either the Commanders, Buccaneers, Rams, or Vikings. I think it's going to be Tampa. I think Tampa wins tonight. And I think it's Eagles, Buccaneers. And then, of course, the big story will be Todd Bowles, who lives rent-free inside of Jalen Hurts' head. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll see how we get there next week. But the Eagles will live to fight another day on Saturday or Sunday in the divisional round next week. So how are you feeling out there, everybody? Is everybody feeling good? What was your favorite takeaway from today's game? Am I off my nut? I'm giving proper respect to certain players who deserve them for efforts tonight. Saquon Barkley did not have the greatest game of his life, but as you can see, he's so important to that offense that he eventually wore them down. And again, the Eagles used the recipe they've been using all season to kind of take the game over. The offensive line, how did they play tonight? They play okay? I thought they were all right. Saquon was, for the most part, though, contained, until the end of the game there when he broke that big, long one, but then he fell down because he wanted the clock to move, which was an awesome play there. Wide receivers, pretty much a non-entity in today's game. It's almost like Penn State not completing any passes to their wide receivers in a semifinal national championship qualifier game. You're not going to complete any passes to your wideouts. It wasn't that bad, but A.J. Brown reading a book on the sidelines. Devontae Smith staring at him over there like, what are you doing, dude? They both were pretty much limited and a non-issue in tonight's game. Does that concern you? Is it concerning that the Eagles are so dependent upon the run that they've forgotten how to be a good passing team? Dallas Goedert with the touchdown, the stiff arm touchdown. Now, I don't think it was as cool as Derrick Henry's stiff arm touchdown from yesterday, but it was definitely up there. It's good to see they use the old stiff arm. I always like that play. But how are you feeling about the Eagle offense? Am I off my nut? Am I off the res? Am I crazy to be concerned about an offense that scored 10 first half points and then scored 12 points in the second half? And honestly, up until about maybe 6 minutes left to go in the game was sort of in question, even though both teams offensively were terrible. Am I off my nut? Eagles forced 4 turnovers tonight and squeaked out a win. They had 3 turnovers in the bag heading into halftime and were only up by a touchdown. Is that what a Super Bowl champion does? Is that what can we expect that the rest of the way? Are you going to fall on that sword and say, this is what they are, this is who they are? They're going to live and die that way? I'll accept that. But is that going to be enough to win a Super Bowl? Now, and I honestly want your honest opinions. I have to give mine, and I do give mine. I, unlike others, do talk about both sides of the coin. I give respect and I give acknowledgement when it's worthy, and I also give criticism when it's worthy, because that's what fair and impartial is. Not talking about one side only and expecting people to accept that based on your phony narrative that you are fair. I am. Because there's criticism tonight. There's more criticism in this game than anything else. Rightfully so. They won, but how good are you feeling about the win? I want to know. No one's half the battle. I'm concerned. I think Jalen Hurts is scared to get hit again. You know what, Joe? Listen, I thought, and listen, here's another kudos to the Eagles. They didn't seem to kind of protect him from that. They were putting him in situations, design runs, they were making him get hit. And I got to kind of give credit to the Eagles for that, because the only way that if he has the yips at all about that, the only way to get rid of that is to get hit. I kind of give the Eagles credit for that. I like that. I like that. And yeah, I did notice that too. He's also afraid to throw the ball downfield to field. Yeah, well, listen, Joe, A.J. Brown, and as we already know through our history, not feeding A.J. Brown is a problem. And he's probably going to get away with it, goddamn, tonight. But going into next week, it might become an issue, right? He's going to start yakking again. We've already made, and I've already talked in nauseum about the inability to throw the ball to the middle of the field. Tonight, 21 pass attempts and only 4 balls were to the middle of the field. And one of those balls was, of course, on the first offensive play of the game, or second. It was a touchdown pass to Jahan Dotson there in the beginning of the game. So after that, it was only 3 passes to the middle of the field. And that's the middle of the field, Joe. You're right. I'm not talking down. When was the last time you saw Jalen Hurts unload down the field? It's been a minute, right? It was before the concussion, obviously. But you're right. How do you feel about your elite quarterback? Your $1.6 million a game quarterback. Can't expect to always win games like this. Well, Barbara, that's what they've been doing a lot of, if you think about it. I mean, the Carolina game was a game like this. The Cleveland game was a game like this. The Jacksonville game was a game like this. You know, everybody wants to say they're 2 drop touchdowns away from, or 2 drop passes away from 16-1. Well, I can also say the same thing about those 3 games I talked about from 11-6 as well. So again, everyone wants to throw the strength of opponent at me. Oh, come on, man. They played some dogs too. The Eagles' schedule this year was terrible, and we've already talked about next year's schedule. Talk to me then about 14-3. If they go 14-3 next year, I'll sing a different tune. I promise. But you're right, though. They cannot always expect to win games like this. The deeper we get into this thing, they're not going to be able to get through with a performance like this from their quarterback. And it's okay to say that the quarterback is above average to average. It's okay to say that. It's okay to say he's a starter. He belongs as a starter in the NFL. No quarrels about that. No bones about that. But he is not, in any sense of the word or stretch of the imagination, an elite quarterback. And ain't no one going to try to convince me otherwise, because I have eyes and I can see what I'm seeing. Based on the quarterbacks who are currently still in the playoffs, who have won MVPs and have won Super Bowls, that's elite. Not what we have. We have an average to above average starter. And yes, he's not a winner. And yes, he's not a champion. And yes, he is most certainly a quitter. So we'll see as we move through the rest of the playoffs. So Barbara and everybody else, thank you. Rousing conversation about the Eagles playoff game tonight. Eagles winners 22-10, won the war of attrition against the Green Bay Packers. Packers losing throughout the course of this game. Their left guard or offensive guard, Jenkins, who his replacement ended up getting like 5 penalties on 7 plays, and they ended up sitting him for a minute, bringing him back out. Then, of course, Dobbs going down, Reed going down. Dobbs going down with a concussion, Reed going down, and then at the very end, Myers, their center, he went down. There's just no way you can continue to fight through that. It's going to take its toll, and it did. On the Eagles side of things, Nakobe Dean left the game with a knee injury. Slay went down, but then, as Joe reported, he did return. I don't remember seeing that, but it all worked out for the Eagles tonight, as they did hold on to win 22-10 and will live to fight in the divisional round against either one of the 4 remaining teams that are playing tonight and tomorrow night. So, how are you feeling about this? Is Super Bowl hype burning bright? Is anybody run down the Broad Street and claiming their spot? Please tell me if you are. I would love to talk to you. But, all right. Let's continue moving through the show, because I do want to get to the other segments. I know this is an Eagle-centric night, as it should be, but there's other things on the docket to talk about. Let's get in real quick, because there is some hot stove news. So let's do a hot stove update real fast, and then we'll get into the fun stuff that we do every night here on the program. So let's do hot stove real quick. Where is the stupid thing? There we go. All right, we step into the hot stove report, periodically through the offseason. We're getting down to it. 33 days now until pitchers and catchers report to spring training. I can feel it in the air, man. Days are getting slightly longer. Temperature today actually jumped past 30 degrees, so that was a great thing. So let's get into the hot stove real quick because it does have a Philly player implication. Let's talk some Rene Pinto going from Baltimore to Arizona. He was claimed off waivers. And then Jeff Hoffman, man, the former Phillies All-Star, is now a Blue Jay, a 3-year contract, $33 million for that deal, as he is now heading to Toronto. Caleb Ferguson from Houston to Pittsburgh on a 1-year deal. Justin Verlander's back in the National League now with the Giants on a 1-year contract, leaving Houston again. Jorge Lopez from the Cubs to the Nationals. And there you go. There was your brief hot stove. Not really that much to get into, but enough to talk about. As I said, Jeff Hoffman, the big story there for the Phillies. No more, as he is now a Blue Jay. And so I guess it's official. Which one is replacing him? Is that Joe Ross replacing Hoffman, or is that Romano replacing Hoffman? Because Carlos Estevez will probably be leaving here soon, too. Which one's replacing him? So there you go. Jeff Hoffman's on his way. And Joe asked me if I would take Pete Alonso. You know what, Joe? I said this the other night as we're getting deeper into this, and the fact that the Phillies have done nothing significant and the teams around them have, and they have lost the battle of the off seasons, apparently. Yeah, I would. I know there's a rumor out there that the Phillies are heavily in the Alex Bregman negotiations, but they're not doing anything until they can move Alec Bohm. That's what they're waiting to do. They're waiting to trade Alec Bohm. And of course, we've heard about how they're overvaluing him, and other teams have called and they've basically hung up the phone when the Phillies are offering or asking what they want in return. But a report from an insider that I saw last week said that the Phillies are heavy into Alex Bregman, and they're just waiting to move Alec Bohm before they pull the trigger on the contract. But if they don't, and I wasn't in on Bregman the beginning of the offseason. I certainly wasn't in. But based on what they've done, or I should say what they have not done, because I wanted them to sign like tier B level free agents like Verdugo. I would have loved here, or Urshela. I would have loved here. McCain, the backup catcher. I would have loved. Listen, I wasn't asking for the world. I didn't want Soto. I didn't want those players. I just wanted better options than we had right now. And I don't think Kepler is a better option than Hayes. I thought Verdugo was, but they didn't go that route. Obviously don't think that Stubbs is a better option than McCain, but they do. So based on their the lack of movement that they have, I would take a splash move right now, whether it be Bregman or Alonso. I got no problem shoving Bryce Harper's ass back in right field. He's had enough time to heal. Get him back out there. I got no problems putting Bryce Harper in his coffee making ass and banana bread making ass. Have you seen this stuff? Back in right field. No problem whatsoever. So I would definitely take Pete Alonso at this point. So yeah. Yes, to answer your question, Joe, yes. I can't look at Marsh anymore. Well, MLB Network, Barbara, has ranked him the 6th best center fielder in Major League Baseball right now. How devoid of talent at the Major League level is center field if Brandon Marsh is ranked 6th in baseball? Wow. But you're right, Barbara. I can't look at him either, but it's looking like we're all going to have to look at him as our new center fielder because that's what I think he's headed for, unfortunately. But there you go. There's our hot stove report real quick. Now let's get into the news segments. Yeah, I want to introduce some new stuff tonight. I want to get the conversation moving a different way. Last week, I debuted the MattyB's all-time Phillies roster. We talked about first base. I said that after lots of contemplation, I could not choose on one, so I took the easy way out, and I chose 2 all-time first basemen. My all-time first baseman, I took Rose and Howard because I could not come up to a consensus first place guy, so I took 2. So we're going to continue tonight with second base on MattyB's all-time Phillies roster. This one's an easy one. There was not much contemplation or decision making about second base. There's really, in my mind, in my estimate, there's no other player that in Phillies history has distinguished himself as the greatest second baseman ever to put on a Phillies uniform. And how could I not give it to him? Hands down, Chase Utley. All right, he is my second baseman, my all-time second baseman. From 2003 to 2015, 1,551 games played, ended his career with the Phillies batting .282, 1,623 hits, 916 RBIs, 233 home runs, and an OPS of 847. Hands down, there was no other second baseman that ever played on this team or for this organization since they began operations in 1883 through present day that will come anywhere close to the impact that Chase Utley had for the Phillies. Now, Ryan Sandberg could have been that guy, but he got traded, so he was never that guy. But Chase Utley, hands down, is my second baseman, my Phillies all-time second baseman. 7 times or 6 times during the week and twice on Sunday, whatever they say. And hopefully in a couple of days, I think it's by next week, when they announce the 2025 Hall of Fame class, Chase Utley's name is on there because he definitely deserves to go there. That number 26 deserves to be retired by the Phillies. And he is hands down my second baseman of all time. So there you have it. And we're going to move all the way through the lineup. We're going to go base position to position. I'm going to give you my all-time starting rotation and my one reliever. We're just doing one relief pitcher, and it's a closer. So we'll move through this over the course of the next few nights. Barbara says Utley then Manny trio. Okay, I agree with you there, but it's a big difference. It's Utley, and then about 20 miles down the road, it's Manny trio. That's the difference between the two, in my opinion. But you're right, Manny trio was very effective while he was here, and without him, there's no 80 championship. I agree with you, but I just think the intangibles of Chase Utley, and you know what? Chase Utley's career got shut down by about 5 years because of injury. If he just would have stayed healthy, it would have been 5 more good years in Philadelphia. Well, maybe not Philadelphia, but it's a shame. And Joe's saying, does he get in the Hall of Fame? I hope he does. I hope him and Rollins both go in. I hope there's 3 Phillies going in the Hall of Fame this year. Dick Allen, Chase Utley, and Jimmy Rollins. And I hope there's 2 number retirement ceremonies this summer at Citizen Bank Park. They retire number 11 and they retire 26. That would be an amazing summer. Of course, Dick Allen's number is retired, but that would be an amazing summer if not only do Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, and Dick Allen get in, that we also have a double number retirement ceremony down at the bank. So that would be great. That would be awesome. But let's continue on because we're cooking with gas. And here we go. It's time for your Of the Night segment here on the Final Word with MattyB. And let's find it. There you go. All right, this is the Other Night segment. This is where we talk about a Phillies prospect, a Flyers prospect, an MLB draft target, a MLB, NHL draft target. We spotlight a player on the Phillies or we spotlight a player on the Flyers, depending on what time of the year it is. And we have fun with this. Tonight, we're back on baseball, and we're going to go back to spotlighting a Phillies player as we get ready for the upcoming 2025 season. And it's a player near and dear to Barbara's heart. He just brought him up, and there's, I swear to God, Barbara, I had this planned out before you brought him up, but here we go. It's a nice player, nice Phillies spotlight player. It's Brandon Marsh. That's right. In 2024, he played 135 games, had a putrid 249 batting average, 16 home runs, 60 RBIs, and an OPS of 747. And of course, he doesn't play or bat or do anything against left-hand pitching. He's a straight platoon guy who can play left field, center field, or right field. And he will forever be attached, in my mind, of course, to one of the worst trades in Phillies history, where we sent him for Logan O'Hoppe. So there you have it. Brandon Marsh, your Philly Spotlight Player of the Night. Now, whether or not Brandon actually is a member of the 2025 Phillies, we'll see. But right now he is, and right now he's a pivotal member, as there's no other options out there in the outfield or specifically center field. And if they try to throw out a Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas platoon situation, I'm going to lose my mind. But there you are. There is your Philly Spotlight Player of the Night. It is Brandon Marsh. Sorry, Barbara. As I said, I did not. Yeah, I did not plan that. But there he is, Brandon Marsh, our Spotlight Player, our of the night segment Player of the Night. And that will take us almost to the end here. One more thing to get through, and it's my favorite one.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
Yeah, that's right. It's the MattyB card review segment. It is the part of the show where we talk about one of my very vast amounts of sports cards. We kind of kick it around, talk nostalgic value, talk whatever you want about it, and we just have some fun with it. It's one of my all-time favorite segments. Tonight we're back in baseball. Tonight we're back with the 87 tops, and tonight we're doing pitchers. And again, an influential pitcher for my youth who doesn't get the credit I think he deserves. He's not in the Hall of Fame, and I don't see him going to the Hall of Fame. But he is tonight's card review guy, and let's waste no other time. Let's put him up here. It is the 87 tops, Oral Hershiser. Yes, a dominant pitcher from my youth, mainly dominant for the Dodgers throughout 9 seasons, as he spent the 83 through 94 seasons pitching out there in LA. He also spent time with the Indians, Giants, Mets, and then back with the Dodgers in 2000 before hanging it up. And then he did some coaching in the Texas Rangers with the Rangers from 02 to 05. Some of the highlights of this illustrious career: a 3-time NL All-Star, a World Series champion in 88, an NL Cy Young Award winner in 88. He was also the World Series MVP in 88, so a really good 88. He was a 2-time LCS MVP in 88 and 95, a Gold Glove Award winner in 88, a Silver Slug Award winner in 93, the NL wins leader in 88, and set an MLB record of 59 consecutive scoreless innings pitched, which still stands at this day. Obviously, 1988 was the year for Oral Hershiser, which probably would have made me getting rid of this card in 1988, because I had it in 87, probably a lot more beneficial, or maybe a lot more financially beneficial. So Oral Hershiser is our player. Now, he has some local ties. He was born in the Buffalo, New York area, but moved to Cherry Hill in Jersey in his youth. And he actually ended up playing for Cherry Hill High School East in his high school days. So technically from the area, I guess you can claim him. But he had a career 204 and 150 record with a 3.48 ERA and 2,014 strikeouts. Not a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Cannot believe that. But Oral Hershiser is my card of the night. And unfortunately, financially speaking, there's nothing really valuable about this card. The best I saw it was like $3, and that was on 2 different databases. But it ranges from about $1 to $3. So you're not going out and taking over the world with Oral Hershiser 87 tops. But here he is, my card of the night, my card review of the night. And there it is right there. And it's physical form. It's pretty good quality card. It is listed on eBay. Those of you that are interested, and it's listed all over eBay actually. But there he is, my card of the night, Oral Hershiser, 87 tops. And that's going to get us kind of to the end of the show. Barbara says she loves the card segment. I do too. Barbara is my favorite. Joe says he was a great pitcher. He was, Joe. And again, 88 was the year to be an Oral Hershiser guy, I guess. Had a great season, culminating, of course, with the Dodgers World Championship that year. And then after that, he was very consistent. I don't know why he didn't get in the Hall of Fame. I really don't. Understand why. But all right, that is going to take us to the very end of the program. Of course, let's recap it real quick. Eagles 22-10 winners tonight, despite themselves. Offensively, is this team in some dire straits? Is this team 2-1 layered for you? Is this team 2-1 layered to win a Super Bowl? Jalen Hurts continues to be Jalen Hurts, which is far from an elite quarterback. Far from elite quarterback. A game manager at best for $1.6 million a game. Is he a liability to win the Eagles the Super Bowl? Is Jake Elliott and his up and down performance missing an extra point tonight? Is he a liability for this team to win a Super Bowl? And defensively, another stout effort tonight from a group that's over exceeded expectations in 2024. And I don't think anybody can doubt that. And I can't question that, and I cannot critique that, because what the Eagles defense has been able to do this year is truly the reason they're standing where they are right now in the divisional round. There is no way this team, the way their offense has been, the inconsistency with the offense, the lack of just creativity, the lack of lateral passing movements, that they would be where they are without the defense. Yes, even with Saquon Barkley, they still would not be where they are without the Eagle defense. So with all that being said, we get set for the next round. We get set for the next opponent. They forced 4 turnovers tonight against the Packers, and listen, they barely beat them. And how concerned are you about that? And is this a Super Bowl team? Is this a team that can go touchdown to touchdown with the Lions? Or is it a team that shuts the Lions down? Is this a team that can do that to the Bills? Is that a team that can do that to the everybody keeps forgetting or sleeping on the goddamn Chiefs. They have won 2 in a row, by the way. So they live to fight another week. Eagles are moving on to the divisional round despite the poor play of their offense, despite the erratic play of their quarterback. They're moving on to face the next opponent. And how confident are you in their ability to do that? Also talked a little bit about baseball, went through hot stove. Also did our my second baseman of my all-time Phillies roster. The other night segment was Brandon Marsh. We spotlighted Brandon to Carol's chagrin. And our card of the night was Oral Hershiser, all those great things. Here's what's happening on the network throughout the week. Tomorrow night, there will be no final word as I am back on post-game duty. I will be, I got you tomorrow night when the Flyers, after the Flyer-Panther game. I don't have why don't I have it up here? I have it everywhere else, but I don't have it here. I have you tomorrow night for the Clear the Ice Flyers and Panthers. So the final word will be back on Tuesday and then throughout the rest of the week. So until we speak again, and I textualize this by saying, you know what? I'm glad they won. I said this throughout the week. I didn't think they were going to win, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they did. And I owe the homers an apology because there was a lot of underestimating of the Packer talk last week. They were right. The Packers are a terrible football team, did not deserve to be where they were. And the Eagles once again dodged the bullet of playing an elite or quality opponent. So how long is that going to last too? We will talk again later. Until we do, you guys have a great rest of your night and an even better tomorrow. And then we'll see each other down the road. Make sure tomorrow night, Sal G will be back at 7 for the wraparound, and I will be back post-game Flyers Panthers. Take care.